C-SPAN's local content vehicles are traveling the country as we look at some of the most closely contested House races leading up to this November's midterm elections.
The district is a big one. It stretches all the way from Charlotte, almost downtown Charlotte, to Fayetteville in the east. And the district is as varied as any district in America probably, and certainly in North Carolina. Close to downtown Charlotte, you get a lot of urban dwellers, and then you go on the way to Fayetteville, you pass through a lot of rural counties. It includes parts or all of 10 counties, many of which are very rural, based on agriculture, with a manufacturing economy that's not nearly as strong as it used to be. A lot of surveys point to this being one of the most competitive races in North Carolina. The Democratic candidate is the incumbent, Larry Kissell, running for his first re-election.
I believe that government works best when government sets the environment for people to be successful. To set the parameters, give the incentives, give the help, and then get out of the way. And let people do best what they know how to do.
The district used to be represented by a Republican for 10 years before Larry Kissell got elected in 2008. It was the Obama election. Obama carried the district for the first time in a long time, but Kissell actually outperformed him, but was certainly helped by the Obama turnout. He lives in a rural community in the 8th District of Montgomery County. He worked in a textile mill for years, and then he went into, with all the upheavals in the textile industry in the state and in the district in particular, he changed careers and went into teaching. He's a social studies teacher at a Montgomery County high school. Like any freshman, it's kind of a low-key first term in terms of accomplishments. There were a couple contentious issues, though. One is when he voted against health care twice. He also voted against cap and trade, which alienated a lot of Democrats. And I know that there were a lot of even Democratic leaders in the district who were upset about those votes, particularly African-American leaders who helped get him elected. Now, since then, you don't hear as much about those votes. He's also spent a lot of time and attention on the district, on the needs of the district. He's tried to bring more jobs to the district, or done what he could, been to plant openings and things like that. And he's just going around trying to separate himself a little bit from the Democratic leadership in Washington. And he's running against Republican Harold Johnson. And then there's a Libertarian candidate as well, Thomas Hill.
It's a total mess. I always believed in their government, but now I do not.
That's a sad thing, and that's exactly what you just said. You don't believe in the government. Lack of confidence in the government is what, and I hear that from businessmen and women that I talk to throughout the 8th District. No confidence coming from Washington. And listen, we're a can-do country. We're can-do people. Give us a chance.
Harold is very well known around the Charlotte area. He was a sportscaster for the highest-rated Charlotte TV station for almost 30 years. So that carried him a long way in the primary, and he had a lot of name recognition as a result in the western part of the 8th District, which is the most populated. He ended up in a runoff with a Republican from eastern North Carolina who was very conservative, Tim D'Annunzio. He was supported by the Tea Parties, if he was not of the Tea Parties, but he also had a lot of money. Spent over $1 million of his own money, so it was a very expensive race. And at the end of the runoff, Harold Johnson hasn't had a lot of money in the bank, and it's been hard for him to raise money subsequent to that. He's making the case that Larry Kissell's first vote is going to be for Nancy Pelosi. You look at voting records, and Larry Kissell's voting record with the Democratic majority is about 95 or 96%, which isn't atypical for a member of Congress. But Harold Johnson is playing that up, and he's trying to ride the wave of anger at Washington. Whether he can do that or not is still up in the air. I think a lot of it's going to come down to whether the Democrats who helped elect Larry Kissell in 2008 are going to come out and vote, or whether they're going to stay home. And I think a lot of it is also going to depend on how much the Tea Party factions get behind Harold Johnson. If you talk to some of the Tea Party people in the district now, and there are a lot of them supported his opponent in the runoff in the primary. They might sit on their hands, or they have a libertarian alternative, so they could vote libertarian. So when you look at it, both candidates have something to worry about. Larry Kissell has to worry about his supporters who helped put him in office sitting on their hands in November. Harold Johnson has to worry about people who in the Tea Party who didn't necessarily vote for him in the primary or the runoff, if they could vote for him now, or if they'll stay home and sit on their hands or vote for the alternative.
C-SPAN's local content vehicles are traveling the country as we look at some of the most closely contested House races leading up to this November's midterm elections. For more information on what the local content vehicles are up to this election season, visit our website, cspan.org/LCV.